What is up, Thursday? Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Javar here with Jared Smith. Jared, we recorded Pickswise Playbook last night. We are on week 5 of NFL, week 5 of Thursday night football. How you feeling today?
Feeling alive. Week 5. I'm balancing the Nerfy budget this morning. Going back and looking at all the records that I compiled from this season, and I'm off. I just actually, during our little countdown there, I figured out the discrepancy with the Nationals. So now the only team that I have yet to finalize the books for this year, your Detroit Tigers. So that's going to be my morning after we get off the show, going through every freaking game for the Tigers to make sure that I logged it all correctly. It's always Detroit.
Detroit causes a lot of issues for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. For me, being an avid Detroit sports fan, they break my heart left and right. And apparently they're breaking your Nerfy sheet, even though no one cares about the Detroit Tigers this season.
They're breaking my balls.
And they're the one team. Literally. That's hilarious. Okay, well, good luck with that. I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that. But
yeah,
we do have Thursday night football today. Colts taking on the Broncos. That's going to be fun. We'll break that all down for you. Kicking off week 5 nice and strong. Then we play Would You Rather, NFL style. We're going to talk about different Player of the Year awards and would you rather take one player or the other. Maybe I'll throw a fun Would You Rather that has nothing to do with football in at the end, Jared. Just saying. And then we have Bobby Stanley coming on, Prop Holliday, to talk a little Thursday night football props. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's bet it. Starting it off with Thursday night football. The Colts at Broncos. The Broncos right now laying 3 points. That total is set at 42. Colts divisional struggles, Jared, continued last weekend. They lost to the Titans. They turned the ball over 3 different times. And I know Denver's coming off of a loss to the Raiders, who desperately needed to win. But their offense had a hard time getting things going. I mean, I'm kind of nervous about this game. I do have a couple props that I'm betting, but I'm staying away from the spread and total in this one. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, Clev TA does a great job writing up picks for the site. He has a 2-star play, not quite 3-star, but 2-star play, probably worthy of just like a unit sprinkle on the under in this game, 43.5. Go to Pickswise.com to read about his reasoning. Again, he's been fantastic writing up picks for the site for Monday night and Thursday night games this year. We've tailed a bunch of them. We've cashed a bunch of them. And so not quite a 3-star graduate level, but still a decent look on the under. And I agree with his reasoning that's on the site. For me personally, I can't back Matt Ryan in any capacity. At 3, I do feel like the Broncos are a decent look here because this line opened 2.5 on Sunday when it reopened. And it immediately hopped over that key number of 3. We saw sharp money right at the open come in on Denver at 3 and 3.5. And it got to 3.5. And then I'm assuming one of those sharp groups likely came back on the Colts this morning at 3.5. And that's why we're starting to see that line push back now to a flat 3. If you're going to lay 3.5, you're probably going to get minus 105 or even odds there. So keep in mind, do your shopping. If you want to lay it with the Broncos, there are 3s available. If you want to take it with the Colts, there looks like there are 3.5s available. I'm assuming that's probably where the market will close tonight.
Yeah. I'm just saying maybe not the best idea to take it with the Colts. Just a fun nugget from BetMGM. In the past 5 years, Jared, Matt Ryan, 26 41-1 against the
Yeah,
spread.
that's not
That's
good.
39%. He is the least profitable quarterback in the NFL over the
Yeah,
last 5 years, which is pretty
that's not
crazy. And
good.
then you look at the injuries. I mean, Jonathan Taylor out. There's actually a lot of injuries in this game. I feel bad for the Broncos. Javonte Williams, obviously, is ACL. He's out for the year. We have Randy Gregory is out with a meniscus. He's on IR. Russell Wilson, I know he was questionable most of the week with that shoulder injury. He's going to be playing, but Shaq Leonard, concussion, he's out tonight. So a couple
That's a
big
huge
names on
injury.
that injury list. Yeah,
That's a
a
huge
couple
injury.
big names on that injury list that really sways people's opinions one way or the other. Speaking of Javonte Williams, how do you think the Broncos are going to respond to losing him for the rest of the year? Because that's a massive injury for this Denver team.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon's got to, scrape the peanut butter and the butter off of his hands. Keeps fumbling it. That's been the issue for him. I I mean, he's only averaging 3.8 yards per carry, but he's going to have to be the guy for this
Yeah.
Denver team. He did have that touchdown against the Niners in that win, the only touchdown of the game or for Denver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't twist the knife
And
too much, okay?
no, but he did average almost 5 yards per carry in the first 2 weeks of the year against Houston and Seattle, to be fair. So
Yeah.
not the best defenses in the league to go up against. But he's had success. I mean, this is a guy that has had success in the league, and he's been around the block, and now he's going to be asked to carry the mail. I do believe, I don't know who, I'll look that up right now. I'm pretty sure the Broncos added this week Mike Boone. Oh, Lat Murray. That's who they signed this week. They did sign Latavius Murray this week. Maybe we'll ask Prop Holliday about Lat Murray because he's the player prop expert. But listen, this is a guy that did go for 11. He just played in a game last week for the Saints. He went for 11 carries, 57 yards against the Vikings. So now he's on the Broncos, switches teams in a week. We'll see how much of the playbook he can absorb in a short period of time, or even if he sees the field. But there's a little depth there with Boone and Murray now behind Gordon. So we'll see what the work share is, but obviously Melvin's going to carry them out.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about the Broncos in this spot. I look at the Colts offense at this point. They're averaging the NFL worst 14.3 points per game. And now you add Jonathan Taylor to the injured list with a sprained ankle. Is this team going to be able to score any points tonight, do you think?
I don't know. Here's what I will say, too, about I don't know. I'll be honest. The more we talk about this game, the more I might switch my pick to the under, because now that I'm thinking about the receiver situation for Indy, Pittman and Pierce are solid, but Matt Ryan's terrible. And I think the strength of this Broncos defense is their secondary, with Surtain and Darby. So
their defense is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit thin this week up front. Gregory's on IR. Simmons is on IR in the back, but that we've known that for a couple weeks now. They've got a couple of backup linebackers and a couple of backup secondary pieces that are out this week. The injury report for Denver is also thick.
Daunting.
They are a little thin at some key spots, but the difference is with the Colts, it's the headline positions, Shaq Leonard, Jonathan Taylor. With the Broncos, it's more secondary, not corners or safeties, but overall, not the highlight players, but more role players are out. So a little bit easier to kind of overcome those injuries. But listen, this is a Broncos defense, drop back success rate, pretty solid this year. Pretty solid this year with their EPA numbers too. This is a top 15 defense. So I think this defense is actually a top 10 defense. I didn't give them enough credit. This is a defense that is really playing really well. And I think that's going to be setting the tone tonight.
And that may or may not lead to one of my best bets, but they're only allowing 193 passing yards per game on the season. There's only been one quarterback against him this year that's gone over that, and that's Jimmy G with 211 yards. So only he's gone over it by 11 yards. Really, really good for the Denver Bronco defense. Patrick Surtain is unreal to watch this season. He's been so good. He's leading them. And that's why they are finding success this season. It's not necessarily because of Russell Wilson and what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll see how they adjust with some of these injuries out, and obviously how the Colts adjust as well. No Jonathan Taylor. Interesting to see for Thursday Night Football. Let's get into Would You Rather, Jared. Okay, we're going to talk about some divisional wins. So at this point, AFC North or AFC South, would you rather take the Bengals to win the AFC North at plus 250 or the Colts to win the AFC South at plus 200? I know how I lean in this one, but I want to get your take first.
It's first of all, we already have the Bengals at plus 330 in our back pocket from that's
which
from
you love to see.
Yeah, that's from a Back to the Futures column like 3 weeks ago. I think it was after week 1. We invested slightly in the Bengals. I think this is. I'll be honest. I think the Bengals might be the best team in the AFC North. Period. End of story. I do.
Yeah,
even with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I think Joe Burrow. We didn't mention it. I was actually going through. I was watching Playbook. The show we did last night. I didn't mention when we talked about the Bengals Ravens game. Just the positive vibes we've seen from Joe Burrow now that he's 2 months removed from the appendectomy. And you were you the one have you had an appendectomy? Someone I remember I talked to said they had an appendectomy.
No, it definitely wasn't me. Knock on wood though, because God, you're putting negative juju on me right now.
I still have my appendix. I think I talked to maybe it was someone else from another network, but I remember talking to them and they said, yeah, like the first few weeks after your appendectomy, like you don't feel right. So like now it's
you had surgery, any kind of surgery.
Exactly. Yeah, but like it's not like major surgery to like repair a ligament. Like you're just taking something out that you don't need. But it shed some light on maybe why the Bengals started slow. Like Burrow looked awful in that first game, and now he's looked significantly better in the game since.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I said that a couple days ago here on Let's Bet It. I said he had an appendectomy 2 months ago. Missed most of the preseason.
Yeah.
And he looks a little scrambled. Like he's not – we haven't seen necessarily a full 4-quarter game from Joe Burrow. We just talked about the Colts, and the Colts are just a dumpster fire right now. I don't think that they have any chance to win that division truly at this point. And now Jonathan Taylor is injured. And we haven't seen the best from the Bengals yet this season. Their strength right now is their defense. They allow the second fewest touchdowns per drive. And we haven't seen the best from Joe Burrow yet. He needs to put together 4 clean quarters for me to make a decision that they're not going to win the AFC North at this point. Because I think as the season goes on, he's going to get less scrambly, right? Like against good defenses, he's been struggling a little bit, but it's because he's literally been sitting on his ass before the season started, no preseason. It's like hard to get up to the NFL level caliber right after you had surgery. So give him a couple more weeks, and I really do think the Bengals are the best team in the AFC North. I know it's going to be a close race between them and the Ravens, and I mean, the Browns are up there right now, also sitting at 500 with 2-2 record, but I don't think that's going to last for very long. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, let's get into Offensive Player of the Year. We have Justin Jefferson, 7-1 odds, or Cooper Kupp, 7-1 odds right now. I was looking up some of their stats. Very similar. Justin Jefferson, though, averaging about 14 yards per reception, where Cooper Kupp only 10 yards per reception. Not as good, but, still great. Who do you lean to in this spot? Do you take JJ or CK?
Well, Cooper Kupp won it last year. So that immediately points me away from him just because what have we seen? It's really hard to win this award. It's really hard to win any award 2 years in a row. That being said, wow, no one has won this award 2 years in a row.
Wow.
In a long time.
Ever?
Since Marshall Faulk was the last one to win it 2 years in a row. How about that?
Wow.
In the 99,
what year was that?
2000, 2001. He won it 3 years in a row. 99, 2000, 2001. Since then, we've had a different winner every single year for the last 20 years. Two out of the last 3 years, it's been a receiver. Kupp last year, and then Michael Thomas in 2019, sandwiched around Derrick Henry. Justin Jefferson, I think, is the guy that I would choose here. I would rather Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, right now 28 receptions, 393 yards, 14 yards per reception, and 2 touchdowns through 4 weeks. Last time I checked, that's pretty good, including last week. He absolutely went off 147 yards on 13 targets, 10 receptions. Justin Jefferson is that dude, and he's going to continue being that dude all season long. So he's a fun player to watch, man. You want to know who else is really fun to watch? Is Chris Olave, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Would you take him 4.5 to 1? Or Garrett Wilson right now at 10 to 1. Chris Olave is sitting at first. Garrett Wilson sitting sixth. And I just looked up how some of these moves have been going for Olave. Last weekend, Olave's odds shortened from 8 to 1 to 5 to 1 after catching 4 passes for 67 yards and a touchdown in London. The week before, he had 147 yards on 9 receptions, and his odds moved from 12 to 1 to 7 to 1. So over 2 weeks, he's moved from 12 to 1 to win the Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, to 5 to 1 to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2 weeks. Right now, the dude is outproducing Michael Thomas. I don't know. I lean towards him, but is there still value on him at 4.5 to 1, or do you kind of lean somewhere like Garrett Wilson, who is still working on creating that chemistry with Zach Wilson, but he's shown that his speed can really burn guys downfield?
I don't want any of these guys, to be perfectly honest with you.
None of that smoke.
I think, all right, if I'm just spitballing here, again, this is not
You
like
gotta choose
sharp
one or the
research.
other.
This is just there's no parameters to the game. No one told me that I have to choose one or the other. I think I would rather choose Kenny Pickett. Can I go door number 3? Can I go door
Tiny
number
Hands
3
Pickett.
here?
Yes, you can. I will give you an out from those two.
I think this is an easy choice for me. So let's look at precedent. Let's look at precedent, and let's think about who has won this award in years past. Well, the last 2 out of the last 3 years, it's been a quarterback. Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, and then last year, Jamar Chase. So, and then Dak Prescott also won it recently as well. So there's a lot of precedent for quarterbacks here. Now, if you were going to ask me between Olave and Wilson, which one has a better chance, I think it's Olave, because I think Zach Wilson favors Elijah Moore a little bit more than he does his namesake, Garrett Wilson. But I think the quarterback nature of this award will start to rear its head towards us when Kenny Pickett inevitably plays much better than Mitchell Trubisky does. And I think we're going to be like, wow, the Steelers have an offense. Holy smokes.
What is going on in Pittsburgh?
I think that's what the narrative will be over the next month or so. Now that, because listen, Pickett's numbers were good. I know he threw a few picks. No pun intended.
He's 8 to 1 right now to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That's the guy I would bet on right now, Kenny Pickett.
Small hands, Kenny Pickett coming up big for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see how that goes. One more quick one. Would you rather always say everything on your mind or never speak again? I know what I would choose for you.
Obviously, I always say everything. I have zero filter. None filter.
Whatsoever.
Zero. Done. It's over. Done.
I know. I would say everything on my mind too, but I think people would get so freaking annoyed at me that they would like cut me out. So maybe never speak again.
I would love you still. I don't judge people because I've been judged before and it feels really shitty. So I love all people. Everyone gets a fair shake in my eyes.
Great. Love that for us. I know one guy I want to hear talking forever, Bobby Stanley, prop Holliday, to talk a little NFL props coming into Thursday Night Football. Bobby Stanley, how the heck are you? Happy Thursday. Welcome to week 5. We are a quarter of the way through the NFL season. It's pretty crazy.
What's going on, guys? Happy October. I have my orange spooky attire. I'm ready for the fall. I'm ready for Halloween.
Spooky. So spooky.
Hopefully your picks aren't spooky.
No,
his picks are never spooky. Let's get into it. Thursday Night Football, Colts taking on the Broncos. Injury list is long as, CVS receipts at this point, and that's long if you've ever gotten a CVS printed out receipt. Those things like never stop going. But when you're looking at this game, do you look at the total? Do you look at the spread? I'm like really worried about the Colts here in this situation and for the rest of the season because I don't think they're very good at all.
I mean, I'm looking at the total. Historically, Thursday night primetime games have been on the under, but injuries play also a big factor. That still could mean
Yeah.
yards, could mean receptions. Someone is going to score a touchdown, so is a good starting point. But I try to look at matchups and I try to see how injuries could impact some game scripts.
Yeah, look at how the injuries impact here. You like Michael Pittman, over 5.5 receptions. He's going to need to come up big.
I do. I think we tend to overreact, and this line looks like an overreaction. We saw the same thing with Justin Jefferson last week in the London game. His receptions were over 6.5 at plus money. I'm getting Michael Pittman over 5.5 at plus money. So the overreaction comes from last week's game. He had 6 targets and 3 receptions. If we look at the previous weeks, he had 13 targets and 9 targets for 9 and 8 receptions. So he is the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver, 22% target share. And then I look at Jonathan Taylor's injury and I say, I think they're going to be a little bit more up-tempo, a little bit more pass-heavy. So that works in his favor with the target share. And then Patrick Surtain is a very, very good corner. I'm not trying to diminish him. He still was targeted 12 times for 7 receptions last week against Devontae Adams. So getting this at a 5.5 makes me feel good. Getting it at plus money odds makes it feel even better.
Seems like Melvin Gordon's going to have a big role tonight. You're kind of leaning on the receptions and the receiving yards being the bigger of the shares here. Tell me why.
Sure. Javonte's injury opens up a 16% target share. It's going to be up for grabs, and I do think it goes to Melvin Gordon. Yes, they signed Latavius Murray this week, fresh off the London game. Maybe he's in short yardage and goal line situations. And then you look at the third down back, it's Mike Boone. Historically, he's been a terrible pass protector. I think we can see Gordon at 60, 70% of the snaps tonight. And he's actually been a pretty good pass catcher this season in minimal opportunities. He's got 8 catches on 10 targets and about 6 yards per catch. And we talk about those injuries again, and there's no Shaq Leonard in the middle of the field. So I got Gordon pegged somewhere around 3 receptions, 20-ish yards. Seeing this at 12.5, I think he's going to be in for a big workload tonight for Gordon.
Yeah, I really like it. The other one that I'm really liking that you're taking is Jerry Jeudy, anytime touchdown. And it kind of goes hand in hand with one of my props that I'm on. And I'll get into it in a second. But I want you to talk about Jerry Jeudy. Why do you think Russ is going to favor him here for a touchdown?
I mean, he's got the best matchup tonight. I think if you look at the wide receiver corps in Denver, he's getting the nickel corner, Kenny Moore. He ranks 95th out of 105 cornerbacks, according to PFF. And he's already given up 3 touchdowns in 4 games this season. The passer rating that QBs have against Kenny Moore is an astounding 140.8. So I think it's the biggest mismatch in the secondary is Jeudy in the slot against this Kenny Moore nickel corner. And it's plus 210. Obviously, it's going to be a lower scoring game. At least that's where I'm leaning under on the. If you can get 4.5, that's a great number. But someone's going to score, and I do think it's going to be Jerry Jeudy out of the slot.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm actually kind of like tailing you with that in a different way. I have Russell Wilson over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 108. And like, I know you look at his numbers and he's only thrown 2 touchdowns in the first 3 games of the season, but not so fast, my friend. We haven't seen Russell fully gel with some of his receivers yet, get that chemistry going. We're finally starting to see it in week 4 when he connected for 2 touchdowns in Vegas. And I think he's capable of doing the same thing against a Colts defense that's been decently shaky all season. The Colts have given up multi-touchdown games to quarterbacks in the 3 of the first 4 weeks. And those are to Davis Mills, Trevor Lawrence, and Ryan Tannehill. It's actually pretty funny, but that the one quarterback they didn't allow to get 2 passing touchdowns was Patrick Mahomes, which that's crazy just to think. But the fact that they allowed 2 passing touchdowns to Davis Mills, Trevor Lawrence, and Ryan Tannehill, I feel like it's a good matchup. Russ wants to get his pass game going and getting it at plus money. And I know it's probably at plus money because he has that right shoulder soreness. But I'm not counting him out of this one. I really do think that he could get it going still and build off of, the 2 touchdown performance that he had last week in Vegas. And I get it at plus money, plus 108. So we're hoping for not just 1, but 2 touchdown passes to Jerry Jeudy, Jared.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Bobby, who do you think is going to win this game?
I like Denver. If you can get it at the 3, it's a little bit more preferable than the 3.5. For me, being out of that offense really shakes things up. Matt Ryan has not been able to hold on to the feet. I think he's fumbled something like 4 times. The left tackle for the Colts has not performed well. Obviously, they have a really good guard. His name is Quentin Nelson. He's still playing well, but that O-line's been in shambles. So I lead Denver. They have a very good pass rush. They are missing Jonathan Cooper tonight, but Bradley Chubb could be in for a big game. He's quietly having the best season of his career. It's been a little bit injury-riddled, but I do really like Bradley Chubb off the edge. So I lean Denver and the under.
How do the Broncos adjust with no Javonte Williams for the rest of the season? How does that affect the prop market when it comes to Denver?
I think we could see a little bit more out of Russell Wilson. They have had a very good run game for the early part of the season with Javonte and Melvin Gordon, that two-headed monster. Russell Wilson's going to have to step up. I mean, they signed him for this reason. Obviously, they do have a third down back in Melvin Gordon, completely capable of carrying this offense in a rushing attack. But we need to see more from Russell Wilson. I think that translates to more for Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. But the line that you have at 2 touchdowns over 1.5 touchdowns at plus money, I think is a good starting point for where we see this offense going.
Let's go Broncos, baby. Let's go Broncos. Prop Holiday,
Orange
we
crab.
so appreciate you having. Let's go. He's wearing his spooky colors, but he doesn't have the spooky picks. His picks are going to win some big money. So thanks so much, Prop Holiday, for coming on. Happy Thursday. We'll be talking to you this weekend. Best of luck as we head into week 5.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right, have a good one. That was Bobby Stanley of Prop Holiday, dishing out the props in spooky season. It is October. I keep forgetting that, Halloween is right around the corner. Want to know what's not spooky, though? Superbook Sports, because they're giving you some of the best odds out there. Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports. Make sure to go to superbook.com or download the app today. In this season, we are all rooting for safeties. That's because Superbook will give you a $50 bonus on each safety scored this season. Just place a $100 pregame bet on any spread, any total, and if there's a safety scored in any game on Saturday, you get a $50 bonus. Make sure to visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Check it out. Spooky season, but not spooky props and bets on Superbook Sports. All right. We talk about Superbook Sports. What about Pickswise.com? Who do we got for a 3-star play of the day, Jared? I'm sure there's a couple on there.
Nothing for tonight, but a lot for Saturday and Sunday, including college football, obviously. And my NFL 3-star play is on the site as well for Sunday. Have a blast.
I love the quick plug. Absolutely love the quick plug. Okay, let's get into our best bets of the day. You're leaning Broncos here in this spot. We talked a lot about why we both like the Broncos, but please tell me more.
Yeah, so first, some housekeeping. I've hit 4 straight PODs.
Yes.
This is getting to that point where the elevation is noteworthy.
Treating you well.
Speaking of elevation, I think the Colts will struggle at altitude tonight. I think not necessarily the altitude, but I just think all of the other factors involved in this game, I think skew against Indy. To me, the biggest thing is Matt Ryan. And you mentioned the nugget. It's bad. 26, 41, and 1 ATS in the last 5 years. That's under 40%. He's the least profitable quarterback in the league during that span. The bookmakers that I talk to on a regular basis, one of them in particular, Zachary Lucas, who's done a great job helping me kind of navigate the NFL over the last couple of years. Literally the quote he gave me this week that's in the Back to the Futures column about the Colts in free fall is if Indy's serious about winning games, Matt Ryan shouldn't be under center. That's kind of the vibe that we get with this Colts team. It's just the numbers reflect that. He's a bottom 5 quarterback in all the nerd numbers that I look at on a weekly basis. The Colts offense is a bottom 5 offense in all of those metrics that matter. And there's just not a lot of upside here without Jonathan Taylor. And maybe they'll be a little more reliant on Matt Ryan and he'll be forced to push the ball down the field because he knows the running game is non-existent. But then you get into this really tough situation with an offensive line that on the exterior, the tackle positions haven't played well against the defensive front for Denver that likes to rush the passer and really get a lot of pressure. So I think that's a bad matchup for this Colts offense. And then on the other side of the ball, I do think we have yet to see Russell Wilson really shine maybe he's washed. But if you were going to ask me which quarterback is more washed, like my favorite pair of blue jeans, I would say it's Matt Ryan. And we can get 3. Yeah. There's a 3 available right now in the market here in town. I'm about to go run to the window after this show is over to bet it, to make sure that the market doesn't move. But I think if you can find a 3 at minus 110, I think that is a play on Denver tonight. I'm only going to risk 1 point, like the regular standard 1.1 unit to win 1, because it is Thursday night and I'm a little bit concerned about the Broncos offense. So I'm not going to do like my usual 1.5 units, or the Bucks play this week is a 2-unit bet. I'm going to go just a standard 1 unit and hope that we continue our play of the day streak into Friday. Broncos minus 3.
Yeah.
Book it.
Let's go, baby. Going for number 5 today. And my play of the day kind of like tails yours in a little bit. I like Matt Ryan under 230.5 passing yards at minus 113. And I know last week he had a great passing outing, 352 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was against a Titans secondary that hasn't really been great this season. He's thrown for 350 plus yards in 2 of his 4 starts this year, but they were still trying to catch up the entire game. Now they're going up against a Broncos defense who's even more challenging. They're led by Patrick Surtain, the second. But they're only allowing 193 passing yards per game at this point. Only 1 quarterback so far through 4 weeks has gone over 200 yards. That's Jimmy G with 211. And also the total is set so low that Vegas is not predicting this game to be a shootout. I don't think there's going to be a ton of lead changes. I feel like Matt Ryan's just going to be constantly trying to push the ball downfield, force opportunities, and this Denver secondary doesn't usually allow passes like that to get through. And I know Ryan's going to try to throw even more with no Jonathan Taylor. I just don't even think he's going to get close to matching his output from last week. So I really like the under 230.5 passing yards, minus 113, based on Denver's trends and based on Matt Ryan's struggle bus that he is currently on right now. Thursday night football, baby. Week 5. Let's get it. I love it. All right, that's it for us today, guys. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. That is Gerard Smith. This is Lauren Jabara. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck tonight with your bets. Let's get it. Let's bet it.